You're listening to Grassroots Community's What Really Matters podcast. My name is Ben Carpenter and we'll be talking with young people across Bristol about what really matters to them. Also, we'll be talking with adults and communities with lived experience and professionals like youth workers about what it's like for young people growing up in our city today.
On today's show, we met up with 14-year-old Layla Griffin from Knoll West to find out what really matters to her. Right then. Hello, Layla. Don't look so worried. It's understandable that you would do, though, looking at me. Can you remember when we first met? Do you want to say about how we first met? Be honest. Absolutely honest.
At Newquay Park, he was bringing bikes down to go on bike rides.
Can you remember the kind of stuff that we were doing, we were hoping to do? Because I think this leads into how we met and then what happened. We were trying to get a bike track.
Yeah, we went round houses and we was knocking on the doors to see if they'd be alright. If we had a bike track round the back, because it's behind their houses. And they said they'd be fine with it, but we didn't end up getting the field.
It's true, isn't it? Yeah, local people said they were right with it, and then it took forever. This is part of the problem, right? You don't see behind the scenes, constantly trying to contact the school, Ilminster School, and the council and various people to try and basically get that bit of land so you lot could have something that you wanted. Unfortunately, that means people like me turn up every week going on about it, and then when it doesn't happen, what do you lot think?
The kids end up devastated because they gets their hopes up for no reason. Because there's no point in them getting their hopes up when they're getting told they can have that bike track and then it don't get, the field don't get sold to anyone.
It's difficult, isn't it? I completely agree. If I had someone rocking up trying to, support, I don't know, me, for example, someone trying to support me and my mates to get something happening and it didn't happen, you'd start thinking, you're chatting rubbish. I think the thing that was really positive about that, let's be honest, it hadn't been plain sailing. The relationship of us turning up and playing different games and stuff. I won't say the actual words, but we've had a little run-ins. But that's because you got some fire. Do you know what I mean? Some fire in your belly, which is a good thing. When we done that walk round, and we walked round those houses, at that point, I saw what you were capable of. You might have thought that I was just stood there watching. You took a lead on it. You were knocking on all those doors. You were supporting some of the younger kids to knock on the doors. And you were amazing. Do you know what I mean? And that is part of the reason why everyone, pretty much, wasn't it? I think it was one person that said they weren't that bothered, but that was when the boys done the knocking, said that they were up for it, for the bike track, based on the fact of how you come across. So I've seen two sides to you. Do you know what I mean? That's the truth of the matter. And there's one side where you're a bit lively and you don't take any messing, and that's not a bad thing if it's channeled in the right place. Then there's the other side, when you're motivated to do something, you come across really well and you make things happen. I wonder, do you want to explain a bit about what it's been like growing up in your community? No right or wrong answer, remember?
Since growing up, there's not been a lot of things to do. There's the community centre where they do circus skills on a Thursday. On a Monday, there's street space. On a Wednesday and a Friday, there's youth moves, but there's not really a lot to do. So then most people end up, if they don't hang around in parks, they end up just destroying the area.
So do you mean that the things that you just said then, do you think that as in young people are attending or they're not attending? Do you mean?
Basically they do attend them, but when because there's not on all through the week, there's nothing to do in the area because most of the fields and all that's been took for houses and all that. But they didn't really, it's they don't think about what the kids want to do. They just worry about more houses, more people and more money.
It's interesting. I mean, I'm not loading you up with these questions, but I got to follow up on this because it's like, so I get what you're saying. I completely understand what you're saying. I mean, it's interesting because you said about there's a few different things that are happening, like the community club. You said about the two different youth projects, and I'm sure, like, I'm guessing, do you go to them?
Yeah, I goes to all of them, and sometimes there's like people from like youth centres that will come to the parks and like bring activities for everyone to do. But when they're not there, there's not a lot to do. So if they're not playing in parks, they're either at home bored, or if they're bored, they start like causing chaos in the streets.
So I mean, well, you know how I first met you, and basically that was out doing detached, which is kind of what you're talking about with the bike project when we met you in the parks. And I don't know, I'll put a question to you. Again, this is going completely off track, but it doesn't matter because it's what matters to you. When me and Donna and Tanika would go out in, more so when we left Newquay Road and we were going out around Philwood and places like that, I reckon there's probably like 40, 50 young people out easy, like regularly.
Yeah, because my friendship group used to be quite big. There was like 20 of us, like just roaming the streets with nothing to do because there was no youth centres or anything open. And then when they did open, we all started going to them and caused less trouble.
But there was different groups, weren't there? It just seemed like you all kind of come together.
There's loads of different groups of us, but we all just hang around one big group.
And it was the chaos, because I mean, I could tell you a couple of stories. You might even have been there, and I know Donna was there, with different things that happened. But do those groups come together and hang out and everyone's like getting on, or is it that they're kind of against each other?
Along, but there's like some people in that group that don't get along. So they'll like argue or fight, and then the rest will just stand there.
I mean, what do you think could change? Because there's a lot of communities out there, I'll be honest with you, that don't have a load of different like youth provisions and activities. Granted, they don't have as many young people out on the streets. Why else do you think young people are out on the streets? Because it sounds like there is clubs, like you said about them. There ain't clubs every night of the week, which would be ideal, wouldn't it? But I don't know if that's realistic at the moment because there's not much money about.
Clubs, it's just like it'd be open for an hour and then the club would be like stopped because they're being like they only get paid for like an hour or like an hour and a half, and then after that there's nothing else to do. Like most of the parks is ruined, and most things that the kids would want to do, like they'll need adult supervision, but they didn't get that.
So I mean, I wonder with a lot of the stuff that we do that you probably won't know about, Layla, to be honest with you, but a lot of the stuff we do is basically supporting young people to find out the things that they want to do and then supporting them to make it happen. And that's exactly how Tanika ended up doing the things she's doing, and other young leaders are doing what they're doing. Like that lad that you've seen, Regan, you said, is that your son? He's not. He's a young person I work with. He set up a boxing club in Artcliff because...
I was there in the meeting when we were speaking to the mayor because they kept on like wanting to take away Philwood football courts, but then that's where Street Space holds all their stuff in the summer. So then there'll be nowhere.
On that note, I swear I heard something that they've now changed, haven't they? So there's going to be a new court. There's going to be where
the old cinema used to be.
So it just what does that tell you? You were at that meeting. You heard what was said to the mayor. What does that make you think now that something has happened that has changed?
It's not really fair because of like, I know like people do need houses and all that, but like most of the houses like, or most of the territory that's getting digged up is all of South Bristol, and that's where most of like the trouble is.
Well, there's no doubt about it. There's more green spaces in South Bristol. I'd say it's probably fair to say, there's no doubt about it, there's probably less organisations and less youth provision as well. I guess kind of what I was getting at with that is, I don't know if this is the case, by the way. It might not even be the case, but something was said to the mayor, and then not long after that, as in at that meeting you were at, about the fact that, and you guys were saying, wasn't it? Because I was saying to you about how many people are out and the need for that space, and Heidi was there, wasn't she, from Street Space, and she said about it as well. Now, not long after that, his mind, well, not his mind, but the council had changed their tune, and now they're going to provide that thing that you want. So I guess there's something in just having a platform to be able to say what it is that you want. I'm not saying that things will change every time, because a lot of times they don't, but it's interesting that pretty much, it was a few weeks after that meeting, I think there's other things that are going on that suddenly that's changed. Do you think that the young people that are out on the streets, like no different to yourself, do you think if there was clubs every night of the week, they'd be going to them?
Yeah, most of them would. But it depends because of the places that we do go, there's a certain age limit. So with youth moves, on a Wednesday, you got to be 13 or 14 and up to go. But on a Friday, you've got to be, I think it's from age 10 to 13-year-olds that go. So it'd be just me and 2 or 3 of my mates going to the one on Wednesday, and then the rest of them will get to go to the one on Friday.
I wonder whether there's, I mean, I don't know exactly what the deal is with the youth zone, which you spoke about at that meeting. I remember with when Marvin was there, and I guess it's probably going to be open all the time. Now, I know what you said that day, that you didn't think people were going to, go there from Philwood or whatever. But do you think if there was a provision that was open all the time, if it was, say, the youth zone, which I know is a bit further away, I mean, would that not be part of the solution? I don't know, by the way, I'm just asking.
I don't really know because of mainly most of the young kids would hang around up Newquay or Philwood, or the farthest they'll go is Hengrove, but I don't know.
Well, I guess we will find out fairly soon, won't we? One way or the other. And personally, I hope it works. If it's going to happen, I hope it works, because there's going to be a hell of a lot of money put into it. And, there is a massive need for you. You've already said about the massive need. I get it kind of fits in with what we've been saying then about the stuff that you think is kind of in the community and what's needed. If I said to you, and I'll explain it a bit more because it might not make sense, and tell me if it doesn't. Do you feel like you have your voice heard? Now, that could be at home, that could be at school, it could be at clubs or in your community, whatever. But do you know what I mean when I say that? Yeah, I mean, again, it's difficult because teachers are only humans, and every human's different. It doesn't matter what job you do. It's like you'll meet youth workers, you'll meet some you get on with, you'll get some you don't. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's really positive. You just said that you've got that support at home. Because, I mean, if I said to you with a lot of your mates that are knocking around on the streets that you're hanging out with, do you think that everyone's got that level of support at home?
Yeah, but a lot of kids around Noel and that, they do have a lot of problems because not all of them's got a parent they can go to because of some of them their parents aren't there for them, or they'll be living with someone else, but their voices still do get heard, but they will just feel comfortable with the parent they wanted to talk to, but it's not there.
Yeah, I guess it's having that level of support, whether that be a youth worker or whether that be at home. It's interesting. I mean, so what kind of things, when we talk about having your voice heard, right? For example, someone we spoke to last week, his name was Max, he helped build, do you ever see the roundhouse from the Bommy, that wooden building at Springfield Allotments in Knowle West? Right, so he was one of the young people that built him years ago, and he ended up going off to university, coming back, and now he wants to do stuff, get jobs around nature. And he's just said he's found it really hard. And one of the things he wanted to kind of put a shout out for was he's been trying to get a job, and he just doesn't get any luck. And he's starting to think it might have something to do with, he said something about, he's starting to think it might have something to do with the postcode on the application form, because he's just not getting the opportunities. If I said to you, like, what kind of things would you want people to know? What is your kind of ask? Like, what kind of things would you want people to know? If you had the choice to have your voice heard by anyone, whether it be teachers, whether it be the mayor, whether it be, it doesn't matter what it is. Is there anything that springs to mind?
No, not really. Just like, there is a lot of post-code war and stuff going on, but that probably would have started like years and years ago, probably way before I was born, and there was still trouble then. And like, don't think there's anything that can do to like change the post-code war, but like, there is like adults out there that do, like, children need to learn to respect adults, but adults also need to learn to like listen to what they've got to say and all that. Because it's like, say someone from went to get a job over Artcliff, like, they'll judge them first for where they live, and it's like, they didn't really care.
It's kind of interesting. You basically gone out and spoke about that, because I guess what I was talking about was, if say this lad Max was putting an application form for a job and it was going to town, to like an organisation there, he's starting to question whether they're seeing the fact that he lives in the West is that he's not getting the opportunity. Now, none of us are ever going to know if that's right or wrong, but what you just said about then is like, that's interesting, because you're talking about obviously the things that have been going on between Noel and Artcliff, and yeah, probably things have always gone on, I guess, with any communities that are next to each other. Well, you say that. What do you think? And maybe you don't think that there's anything that could stop that, but what do you think? Do you think that you're any different to anyone? Say a girl that's 14 that lives in Artcliff, similar situation as you at home. Do you think you're any different to her? What's different?
I don't know. It's just like, a lot has happened between Noel and Artcliff, so like, not a lot of people from Noel would hang around with people from Artcliff, or that, like, they wouldn't like them or would not get along at all. And it's like, Artcliffers would like come over to Noel and kill like Noel Westers, but like with the Noel Westers, like, not all of them's killed by Artcliffers, but they'll still like post stuff about them and like talk crap behind their back, even though they're dead and all that, and like, it's just not nice.
Do you think if you spoke to someone from Artcliff that was in the same situation, that was like understood about the different things that are going on in the community, do you think they'd probably say something similar, but from the point of view of living in Artcliff?
Yeah, probably, but I'd feel like I would probably end up arguing with them, because of like, obviously people protect their own sides and do their own things.
Do you think though that, because like, I'm from the outside looking in, do you know what I mean? And I speak to people from both communities, and I've worked in both those communities for a number of years, and I, as far as I can see, there's a lot of families that live in both those communities that are the same families. I don't really see that many like differences, other than the fact of, we live here, you live there. And I don't get me wrong, if you people have had friends and family that have been like hurt and injured, that obviously that is not going to be nice for anyone, and I think that goes without saying. I guess the thing is just like, it's the understanding that, are you any different? I can't see it. I can't see that these communities are that different, and the young people growing up have the same troubles, the same issues with finding it hard to find employment, that kind of thing, limited youth provision. You'll hear the same things in all those communities. What do you think? Because do you feel like hanging out with your group of mates in Knoll, do you feel like if someone from Artcliff turned up, you'd have to try and, to look, not cool, that's not the word, but do you know what I mean? To look, sound in front of your mates, to react to that?
Nah, I just feel like other people from like outside of Artcliff and Knoll, like they look down on it and just think, what is the point in arguing about postcode? But if you're in like someone's perspective from each of the areas, like you would understand like there's a lot more going on too than just postcodes.
No, there's definitely
People from the postcodes like just argue a lot because of what's happened before in the past, and there is a lot of drama going on.
How do you think that could ever stop? Do you think there's things that, and I'm not saying that there's going to be a solution that you're going to say, now let's bang, and that's it, sorted, no problem, because like, no one's got a magic wand, but do you think there's things that people could do, like ideas, to try and kind of support some of these things to stop? Do you know what I mean?
No, I don't really think there'd be anything that would stop it, because it's just like some of that would never end.
How does that make you feel to think that a place at the road?
It's just constant arguments, constant knife crime between the two postcodes and everything.
Do you think that the people that are involved in that knife crime and those things that are going on, do you think if they had more support growing up and there was more opportunities for them to go into, that meant that they could potentially get a job that they actually wanted to do, like a passion, something they're interested in, do you think they'd still be out on the streets messing around trying to, involved with selling this, that and the other, and then basically getting involved in violence and hurting people?
I think like you've got potential in everyone, and like they can all do what they want to, they could dream what they want to dream, they could believe what they want to believe in, and like they can make their way to that job if they wanted to, but some people just choose to like stay on the streets and do that. But it's like wherever they feel most comfortable, that's where they'll stay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt what you're saying is right. I do question a little bit. If you haven't seen people in your community or your mates or your family or whatever that have ended up doing things that they want to do, like jobs or anything like that, then there isn't necessarily the role models to try and support people to kind of go for those kind of things. Do you see what I mean? If you haven't got that level of support, and
like everyone from around their own ends like would have the courage to like support people, but you have to just like have the support to like support them in what they want to do, where they want to be, and like that's the only thing you can do. Like if they wanted to like have a massive job, like be a lawyer or something, you have to like help give them the support to do it and that. But if they wanted to stay like in the streets and all that, that's their option. Like you should support them no matter what, because of you wouldn't know the reason why unless you ask. But if they don't want to explain it, they shouldn't have to.
No, 100%. I guess so. With that, then, how many of your friends, like, being honest, and you might not even have spoken about it, so it's like it might not even be something you can answer. But how many of your friends do you think are aspiring to do jobs like being a solicitor and those kind of things?
I say like out of 20 of them, there's about 12 of them that I want to do that and would probably have the potential to do it. But like the rest of them want to do stuff like working in a nail salon and stuff, and they do have like the grades to do it and that. But it's like if they're in school and they want to do that and like they choose their GCSE subjects, you've got like there'll be some teachers trying to put you down, saying like you can't do that, but all you really have to do is like appreciate the support around you and like believe in yourself that you can do it.
I agree. You said earlier on about school, and I'm getting the vibe that you're not loving it at the moment.
It can be alright, but like if you're trying to explain someone, like, I know teachers do get stressed, but sometimes they do take it out on the wrong people, and that causes you to have a bad bond with your teachers and stuff. And like if you're in trouble and you're trying to explain the reason what happened and they're just busy and stressed, their words to you would be like, I don't care, tell me later or something. But when you try to tell them later, they're still busy, and like they never make the time to like concentrate on the people that are working hard. Like even if someone's got like bad upbringing or something, they're gonna have mouth and like that, but the teachers like need to like get to know them before judging them.
Do you think that is the difference between school and youth work? It's a bit of a loaded question. I'm not trying to get you to say yes, but like, it feels like...
I just feel like there is like a difference, but like everyone's human, like they all have their different perspective on what they think of someone else, but like everyone says, you can't judge a book by its cover. Like you have to read that book to understand the meaning of it.
Cool, I like that. Cool, let's listen to that. That's amazing. Yeah, well, getting to know someone. If you don't know them, then you're not going to know how they tick. Oh, you've got to spend the time to do it. So, if I said to you then, what really matters to you? Massive question. I know. What is that thing or those things? Again, there's no right or wrong answer. What are those things that really matter to you and why?
My friends and my family matter to me a lot, and like I'd want to pass my GCSEs, go to college or university or even both, and like get the job I want, get my own house, my car, my own family, and like just have no drama, but just a little.
I love it. Why just a little bit of drama? Keep things interesting. Why not? It sounds like, that all sounds like great. I'm sure there's going to be loads of ups and downs.
Believe in myself, and like the main thing that do matter is family and friends. Like you've got to have their back 100%. No matter you argue or anything, you still need to sort it out. And like if you've been friends for a long time, there'd be no point in like wasting a friendship over one petty thing. Or like say you've had an argument, there's no point in wasting that friendship, because that means you've wasted like most of your time being their friend, having their back and sticking up for them, and then just getting rid of that friendship when you could have done something else.
Well, everyone has good days, don't they? That's definitely a positive thing to do. And it is knowing, isn't it, that people have good days, bad days, and if you're mates with people, then if suddenly something goes wrong, there's probably a reason why, or they're suddenly acting in a certain way. And suddenly not just like ditching them and saying, that's it. Very wise. So do you wonder then why, did you wonder why Dono does the detached in Knoll said to you, if you were up for getting involved with what Grassroots Communities does with the detached stuff and being a young leader, have you thought to yourself, why has she asked me? Why do you think?
She explained it to me because, like, I am quite well known, like...
Very well known.
Kids around the area that's well known, and, like, they knows a lot of people know them, and, like, they've got a lot of mouth, but sometimes that mouth is actually good to have, and, like, they actually speak up, and, like, if they never spoke up, they would never be heard, and, like, they'd have nothing.
Do you think going out with the detached teams, i.e. Donna and Jack, and then learning from them and chatting to other young people, what impact do you think that might make on you?
Give me like somewhat good to say about myself, and like it do somewhat good for me instead of just staying on the streets or like having nothing to do. Like I'm actually doing somewhat good with my time.
Positive. The thing is, you've got all those skills, that little bit of fire, your communication skills, you're well known by people, you want to do things, you're willing to talk up, you're a leader in your group, like whether you like it or not, you are a leader in your group. But if that's put onto a positive spin, do you know what I mean? Who knows what can happen? And definitely, we're lucky that you're up for being part of it. I wonder as well when you said about, you know, you talking about going to school and seeing what you've done with your GCSEs and maybe uni and things like that. Have you got an idea of the kind of things you might want to do? This might change, by the way, but at the moment, have you got an idea of what you might want to do?
Yeah. So like for my GCSEs, I've chose business studies, geography, 3D art, and food tech. But like, I really like doing like hairstyling and like hairstyling, makeup, nails, and stuff like that.
Do you feel like that's something you'd want to do as a job? I wonder then, because right, what we've done with this, and like I said, I don't know if there's going to be 100 people listening to it or one. I got no idea. It's new. We're trying. We'll see what happens. But I've asked everyone at the end of all these podcasts just to say something that's an ask. Now, I wonder. I know you're going to get paid a little bit with us for doing the young leader stuff with the detached work, and I wonder whether would it be of interest to you? And I'm just thinking out loud. Would it be of interest to you to get a bit of experience at a hair salon or a nail bar or something like that on a weekend to get some extra money and get an experience of it?
Yeah, it would be good because of like when I was younger, I went to like these like stuff in the holidays, and it would like there'd be like 2 or 3 teachers and like 18 students, and we would be there like practicing nails and stuff, and like some man he's like practiced to be a hairdresser, so I just learned from them.
Do you know what? If someone's listening to this that knows someone that's got a salon, beauty salon, nail bar, am I saying the right words here? Because I don't know. Nail, is it nail bar? Is that what it's called? Nail salon, that kind of stuff. Ideally in South Bristol, but somewhere that basically you can get to for a little bit of weekend work just to kind of get an experience. Then get in touch with grassroots communities and we'll let Layla know, and we can set up a time for you to meet, because she's definitely going somewhere if she's given the opportunities, and you'd be very lucky if you were a business and you got her involved now at 14. Happy with that? Cool.
Thanks for listening to What Really Matters podcast. If you're a young person and interested in having your voices heard and sharing those opinions, please do get in touch, because this is a platform for you.